Okay, guys, it is Advanced Math, Trig, Mod 7. Today is Tuesday, so the date is 4/7/20. Put 4/7/20 top left corner of your notes. Yesterday, we did a topic called the law of sines. Today, we've got a topic called the law of cosines. And no, tomorrow we did not cover law of tans. There's no such thing as the law of tangents, just law of sines and law of cosines. Okay, 3 problems to do in our notes today. I've got problem number 1 all in the top half of my paper. And then if you do look, I've got in the bottom half of my paper on the left-hand side, I've got problem 2 and eventually problem 3. And we're going to try to teach you a topic again called the law of cosines. A little more complicated formula than yesterday, so please, phones away, everything distraction-wise away. Focus up here with me for 15 minutes. Take a good section of notes just like you're in class, and you'll have 3 problems for homework, okay? Here we go. All right, look at problem number 1 here. I'll give you a second to write it down. We've got triangle ABC. So obviously that has side A, side B, and side C. And on this triangle, we know that the top angle A is 28 degrees. Side B over here is 10 centimeters, and side C over here is 8 centimeters. And I'm wondering, hey, how big is side A? Our first goal is to figure out my missing side, side A. And then eventually, after we accomplish that, hey, how big is angle B? Now, if we got angle B, of course we'd get angle C because we could add them up, subtract from 180. So right now, how do I find a missing side A and how do I find angle B? Now, you're thinking, well, Mr. Galeta, let's just do the law of sines. That was so easy yesterday. That wasn't bad at all. Remember, we just set up a proportion. Here's the problem. On this particular picture, if I did try the law of sines, and we put what? A over top of the sine of 28 degrees, we would then set that equal to 10 over top of the sine of, and I don't know angle B, do I? So the proportion I just tried to create has not only a missing side A, but a missing angle B. And of course, you can't solve a proportion if there's 2 unknowns in that proportion. So law of sines absolutely is not an option on this problem. Of course, SOHCAHTOA or Pythagorean theorem aren't options because this is not a right triangle. So believe it or not, they invented a thing called the law of cosines. Now, I'm going to write the formula down right now. You need to write this formula down. We will utilize it throughout the day, and it's going to look a lot scarier than yesterday, but hopefully I can explain how it works, and by the end of this session, you're going to be comfortable using this formula called the law of cosines. So everybody write down, I just put a little arrow by that, and go with the following formula. Ready? A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2 times B times C, oh my gosh, times the cosine of capital A. Whoa. A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2 times B times C times the cosine of capital A. Okay, focus and think with me here. What this is really saying, if I ignored the fact that they're A's, B's, and C's, isn't this saying take some side on your picture and square it, set it equal to the second side squared plus the third side squared minus 2 times, and then B and C, the 2 sides you just wrote down, times the cosine of angle A, and notice the capital letter at the end matches the little letter that I started my formula with. So if you start your formula with little side A, it's going to end with the angle A, that's across from that side. So little a matches the capital A. That's always the case. One thing to kind of point out on that formula. So guys, bottom line is you're going to need your calculators out. Make sure they're on degrees. Let's look at this problem now and give it a shot. Obviously, we're looking for side A, aren't we? So we're going to start by writing side A. So A squared equals, okay, now we're going to pick the B squared plus the C squared. So we can do a little bit of this in our head. Watch this. If I take B squared, wouldn't that be 10 squared, which is what? 100. Plus, following the formula over here, plus now it's going to be C squared. So that's plus what? 8 squared, which is 64, minus, and notice it says 2 times B times C. So that's 2 times, okay, what? 10 times 8, agreed? Don't just copy, think with me or you're not going to get this. Times the cosine of capital A. Angle A is the angle that's across from little side A. So here was side A. Angle A is right there, 28 degrees. Oh, so cleaning this up, we end up with A squared equals, obviously, guys, 100 plus 64 is 164, minus 2 times 10 is 20, times 8 would be 160, cosine of 28. Now, careful, do not take 164 minus 160 and change it to a 4. That 160 is dot connected to the cosine of 28. They're a family. So when you grab your calculator now and you go to type in exactly what you see in that order. So I'm literally going to hit 164 minus 160 cosine 28. Type the whole thing in, hit enter. Now I'm getting 22.728. So I'm going to write A squared equals 22.728. Now notice that's A squared equals 22.728. So I've got to square root both sides, agreed? I square root both sides. And when I square root that answer, so I'm going to hit second, square root second answer. I'm square rooting the 22.728. 4.8. Let's go to the nearest tenth for all missing pieces. Wow, I did it. My missing side is 4.8. Okay? Now notice the question said, uh-oh, what if I told you to find the missing angle, like angle B? Well, think about it. If angle B is the angle we're seeking, don't I want this formula to end up with a B at the end? So if I have a capital B at the end, I want a little b at the beginning. So now I would write B squared equals A squared plus C squared minus 2 times A times C, right? Use those same two letters again, times the cosine of capital B. So plugging all my values in. Notice this time I've got A, B, and C, all three given to me, don't I? The thing that's missing is angle B. So here we go. B squared would be, what, 10 squared? So that's 100. A squared would be 4.8 squared, which was that 22.728, remember? So that's 22.728 plus C squared, which is going to be, what, 8 squared? 64 minus 2 times A, which is 4.8, times C, which is 8, times the cosine of capital B. Now, careful when you clean this up. I've now got 100 equals 22.728 plus 64 would be 86.728 minus, now I got to take 2 times 4.8 times 8. So I'm going to grab my calculator here. 2 times 4.8 times 8. I get 76.8. Cosine capital B. Again, I'm going to warn you, do not take 86 minus 76. You cannot subtract those because the 76.8 is dot connected to the cosine of B. You've got to take that number and subtract it over. So on my calculator, I'm hitting 100 minus 86.728 and getting 13.272 equals negative 76.8 cosine capital B. And now to get this cosine B by itself, are you with me? We're trying to get cosine B by itself. I got to divide by the negative 76.8. And that'll give me, okay, I'm taking that 13.272 that was still on my screen. I'm dividing by negative 76.8 and getting negative 0.1728 equals cosine capital B. Now, guys, remember, I'm not done. That's not how big angle B is. That's the cosine of B. If you're ever looking for a missing angle, remember we did this in our trig unit, you've got to hit the inverse button on your calculator. So right now, you're going to type second cosine, negative 0.1728. Inverse cosine, so here I go. Second cosine, negative 0.1728. I hit enter. Oh, and angle B is about, now my calculator says 99.95. So obviously that rounds off, whoa, to 100 degrees. Okay? I know that's a little shaky, possibly, but we'll get the hang of it by trying the next two questions. We'll do them a lot quicker now. Here we go. Stay with me. Problem number 2. You're going to draw a triangle QVW. Angle V, as you can see, is obtuse. What if it's an obtuse angle? Does that matter? Probably not. It's 108 degrees. I've got the left side is 6. The bottom side is 8. All you got to do on this problem, our goal, how big is side V? Which normally would look like the hypotenuse if this was a right triangle, but it's not, is it? Okay, let's think. If we're looking for side V, doesn't our formula need to start with V squared? Whatever side you're looking for is the letter you start with. So if that's V squared, the other side, it really doesn't matter the order of the Q and the W, agreed? We would have Q squared plus W squared minus 2 times Q times W times the cosine of, okay, what's the rule? If I started with little v, I have to end with capital V. Okay, so there's my law of cosines formula. Now, I don't know how big V is, do I? So V squared equals, okay, now Q, of side Q, is of course across from angle Q, so that'd be 8, wouldn't it? 8 squared would be 64. W squared, so that'd be what? 6 squared is 36, minus 2 times 8 times 6 times the cosine of angle V, which we can see is 108 degrees. So it's really not that bad to plug the numbers in the right slots. Now, concentrate. 64 plus 36, I can add them together. That gives me 100. Minus 2 times 8 is what? 16 times 6 is 96 cosine of 108. And literally, since all that information is given to me now, can I type all that into my calculator? So if I do, I'm typing 100 minus 96 cosine 108. I'm hitting enter. And I'm getting 129.6656, right? I'm just writing down the number that's on my calculator screen. But, of course, to get V by itself, we need to square root both sides. Agreed? So square rooting that number that's on my screen, it looks like side V is 11.4, and we did it. Okay? Not that bad. Getting the hang of it. Finally, our grand finale for the day. Problem 3. What if, oh my goodness, they give me triangle DEF and they tell me all 3 sides. Side D is 7, E is 6, F is 4. Isn't it amazing that just because we know how big all 3 sides are, that we can find how big angle D has to be? That's amazing. So here we go. If we're given three sides of a random triangle and they're saying find angle D, find any one of these angles, in this case we're focusing on A, how would you do it? Well, again, law of sines wouldn't help, would it? Because I can't go 7 over an unknown and then 6 over an unknown. And law of cosines is your only choice. Okay, so here we go. Since we're looking for angle D, our formula should end with angle D, so it should begin with little d squared equals e squared plus f squared minus 2ef cosine capital D. Should be familiar with the formula by now. D squared is going to be what? 49. Think with me here, don't just copy. E squared is going to be 36, right? 6 squared. F squared is going to be 16 minus 2 times what? 6 times 4 times the cosine of D. Cleaning this up a little bit, 49 equals, isn't 36 plus 16, 52? Minus 2 times 6 is 12, times 4 is 48 cosine capital D. Okay, do not subtract 52 minus 48 and get 4. Remember, 48's connected to the cosine of D. We're going to shove the 52 over to the left side. Of course, 49 minus 52 is negative 3 equals negative 48 cosine capital D. Divide by negative 48. Those cancel. Now, on my calculator, if I type in negative 3 divided by negative 48, I'm getting 0.0625 equals cosine D. Remember, that's not your answer. To get angle D now, since we're looking for a missing angle, we've got to hit inverse cosine and then that decimal. So guys, I'm hitting second cosine, second answer, hit enter, and it looks like 86.4. So angle D, 86.4 degrees. Okay? So my goodness, we've got SOHCAHTOA, we've got Pythagorean theorem, we've got law of sines, and now the law of cosines is all options for finding missing pieces of triangles as you head into calculus next year, things you're expected to do. Okay? All right, assignment, homework. This is what? Today's Tuesday, the 7th. So this assignment, again, today's 4-7, Advanced Math Mod 7. This is due at noon on Wednesday, April 8th. So guys, your homework looks like the following. These 3 problems, I think you can see them all on this screen right now. Problems 1, 2, and 3. On the first problem, triangle ABC there, simply find side A. That's your only job. How big is side A? On problem number 2, the obtuse triangle, I want you to find side F, but also find angle E. Okay, you got 2 jobs there. And 3, I want you to find, oh my gosh, all 3 of the angles on that picture. How big is angle M, angle N, and angle P? Find all 3 of those. Of course, you'll find angle M by using the law of cosines. Then you can find angle N by using the law of cosines or the law of sines. It's your choice because you'll have M. And of course, angle P will be whatever you get when you add the other 2 together and subtract from 180. So kind of a great way to wrap up right triangles, or excuse me, the study of triangles, in this case, non-right triangles. That's your homework for tomorrow. Hit pause, copy those down, and I need that by Wednesday at noon. You're doing a great job, guys. You're doing your own work on that. You're not going to take a picture of your work and send it to a friend so that they can copy it down and then send it to me. Please, if I find that's going on, we're going to have some big issues. You're here to try to learn the material the best you can. If you get stuck and can't do a problem, you look at the video again, rewatch the problem you're having trouble with, Just give it a shot. If you miss one, you miss one. Big deal. It's 1 point over the course of an entire 9 weeks. Your job is to learn this on your own, doing your own work the best you can. Times are tough. Let's have a little bit of character and please choose to do things the right way, okay? Thanks. Great job. We'll see you tomorrow.